Hey, before we get into today's episode, I wanted to talk to you guys about something I'm very proud of. My that I just released, which is my first of many T-shirts and a collection of things that I hold personal to my heart. And that is my "We All Help Heal" concept. If you're watching this, you see a picture of it on the screen, and if you haven't and you're listening, it's on my social media. But on episode 17, I spoke to Will about some of the discrepancies that I was having or noticing. I don't even say I'm having, but noticing within the mental health community, and the "We All Help Heal" concept was born. So I'm gonna read to you guys what I wrote out about it. And here we go. So "We All Help Heal" is a concept that was developed from discrepancies within the mental health community. Mental health professionals feel like advocates don't have the credentials to speak about mental health, and advocates feel like mental health professionals are too formal to treat every mental health crisis. At the end of the day, the goal is to help individuals get to a place of mental stability, and whatever gets them to that place of peace is irrelevant as long as the person is happy on the inside. I'm also proud to announce that a portion of every shirt purchased will be donated to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMNI. I've been developing a working relationship with NAMNI Philadelphia, and I want to thank them for allowing me to be a part of their movement. Each of these shirts save a life, guys. Literally saves a life. So I'm donating a portion of them, to help with the healing within all communities, not just within my community. And like I said on episode 17, you guys heard more of you'll hear more of the stories about where this shirt came from. So if you listen to that episode, it was developed out of that episode. So I've been had this concept a while back. It took me a little while to get it together, but I'm actually happy that it came to fruition. So guys, check that shirt out. Support it in any way. Like I said, it's helping every community and not just my community, and I'm just trying to do my portion and my place to make the world a better place than I found it. So I would appreciate you guys supporting, and again, thank you. I always tell people I'm not never looking to sell. I'm looking to serve. So anything that I'm doing is always going to have a mission to put back within making humanity a better place. So I would appreciate you guys supporting and showing love, and I promise you that it'll never go to waste. It'll always be refunded and empowered and back into my community and others' community as well as the more that I expand. Thank you to Nomni as well. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. We're doing big things, more to come on that. And again, guys, I just wanted to stop in before we get in today's episode and share with you guys the new merchandise of the t-shirt collection that I just put out, the "We All Help Heal" shirt. When you get a chance, just support. And enough of me rambling. Let's get into today's episode. What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Black Mental Health Podcast. I'm your host, Reg. Joined today with me is another very special guest. I usually let everyone introduce themselves because I'm bad at the introduction. I just thought you had a powerful story, so I definitely wanted to shed light on it. So go ahead, introduce yourself, tell people why you're here, and take it away. I'm gonna let you dictate the conversation.
Well, thanks again for having me on. I totally appreciate it. I'm Kay. I'm a scenic painter, and I've been going through a custody battle for the last 4 years for my biological son. Um, it has been truly an emotional, just it's been devastating. If I'm honest, I think that's the only way I can really put it. So I was in a relationship with my ex girlfriend for about 8 years. Towards the end of the relationship, I decided to have a child. And we weren't married, no domestic partnership, anything like that. But she was a good friend of mine. And basically, when I decided to separate from her, my son was about 2 years old, maybe a little less, but around 2 years old. And she is on my son's birth certificate. And we had an agreement that we would, be continue to be friends throughout this process, and that's not what ended up happening. She took me to court for custody. Uh, Immediately, the court gave us 50-50 custody, and shortly after that, I decided to take a job out in Atlanta, paying about 3 times what I was making in California. I got a move away order, went through the process the way I was supposed to, only for her to obtain an attorney and basically lie to the judge about my status and what was going on with me. Um, this judge sized me up as soon as I walked in the courtroom and basically looked at a picture of my son with my ex girlfriend and said, I don't even see how this can be your child, you know, based off looks. My son is lighter than me. He's black and Hispanic. My ex girlfriend is Hispanic, and I did definitely have a few words with the judge
Mm.
over how he could take my biological son from me, and basically he told me, to be quiet or he will hold me in contempt. And that was it. I got no say over being able to keep my son. He was able to overturn another judge's order for me to be able to have my son in Atlanta. And as of now, we've been apart for about a year. I've been to court 6 times since I came back last summer, back to California last summer. Um, I only get to see my son once a month, and my ex makes sure that she keeps him from me as much as possible. It's a relationship that was created by the court, and it's sad, and I know that there are a lot of parents who are out there going through the same thing, whether that be a mother or father, um, but it's unjust. It's not right. A judge shouldn't be able to take your biological child from you with no just cause. You know what I mean? And I have literally been fighting in court. Initially, I had a lawyer. I was going through this for a few years, paying thousands of dollars until I ran out of money to do it.
Mm.
And every time I go back to court by myself, it seems like I lose more and more custody. And it's just been, like I said, it's been heartbreaking, for my son included. So I'm doing everything I can to get my story out there so that people can understand the injustices that are happening. Parental rights that are being taken away for no reason,
Right.
for no reason.
Um, you because it's a lot that you just dived into, and we're gonna walk through it piece by piece. So you started out with saying you let her sign the birth certificate. What I was thinking on the opposite end, because I don't know how it works. Um, were you not on the birth certificate as well?
I
Because I
was
know.
on the certificate, and she happened to be at the hospital with me. I had a C-section, so for the next couple of days, I was kind of out of it. We didn't have an agreement for her to be on the birth certificate. She filled out the paperwork and told them that we were married. The hospital never verified that with me or anything. So as a matter of fact, the day that I was leaving, I spoke to the administration, and they told me that I could come back and change it as long as she was willing to sign off on that. And obviously, she wasn't willing to do that.
Mhm. And I know off air when we spoke beforehand, you told me about like you and the father had an agreement, but that she wasn't a part of. And you're
Absolutely.
in still, are you still in communication with him? How's he feel about the whole ordeal?
He can't stand it,
Oh,
honestly. But we are definitely in communication. He has been in my son's life since my son was born. They have an excellent relationship. He knows that is his father. Um, but for a long time, his take on it was that he didn't want to be in the middle of it. And now he's to the point where he's ready to go to court with me as well, just to be able to settle this. Because at the end of the day, she won't let him see his own son.
right. So, so you're telling me, because I want to make sure I'm grasping everything. The two parents that are biologically DNA, the blood of that child has no authority over that child.
For as much as I have parental rights, um, I don't get to make decisions for my child, and neither
Wow.
does he.
So it's all because that she was on the birth certificate.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I know you told me again off air that um the way you were dressing when you came to court played a part in some of the judge's decisions. Talk more about that so they can understand that. This portion of the podcast is also brought to you by I Can't Do Yoga. I Can't Do Yoga is a narrative that is often expressed because many yoga spaces are catered to those of a specific body type, and how those body types can perform picture perfect techniques. When instructor Bianca decided to start teaching, she was intentional about reaching everyone, no matter your level, gender, or age. Everyone is capable of achieving the practice because it is your practice and you go at your pace. Join her for this Back to Basic workshop on June 23rd, where you'll be exploring basic yoga movement and alignments. She'll be given a step-by-step instruction on how to achieve basic movements accompanied by the breath while assisting in correct posture. She will also be given a brief overview of some other limbs of yoga and how to incorporate them in your daily lifestyle. This is a beginner-friendly class open to all adults and children of over the age of 10. Tickets are available at, I can't pronounce this, so I'm gonna make sure I try to get it. BRoseau.com/events. I'm gonna put the link in. I know I butchered that, so it's BRoseau.com/events. The link will be in the description, and tell her Red sent you. This portion of the podcast is also brought to you by Pocket Rehab. Do you have a friend or family member that's struggling with an addiction or mental illness? Do you struggle with an addiction that you can't just seem to quit? Have you ever been diagnosed with a mental illness and don't know where to start to get any information? If any of this sounds like you or someone you know, it can sometimes feel like you're all alone. With the Pocket Rehab app, you don't have to feel alone anymore. You're never alone. Join a community of members who are going through exactly what you are. It's a completely free service that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pocket Rehab is a safe environment that's judgment-free. Download Pocket Rehab today from the iOS App Store and Google Play. Make sure y'all leave a review. I actually talked to the creator of the Pocket Rehab app. Had a nice conversation, and we're trying to find ways to incorporate Pocket Rehab in other ways as well. So you guys will be seeing something together soon. But I'm full support of this app, man, because I always try to find resources, especially within our community, just to help support anybody with different difficulties as far as like that they don't feel like showing. So I'm definitely in full support of Pocket Rehab. Download it today, and y'all actually might see me in there moving around. And I would say tell them Red sent you, but I'll be there. So I'll see you when you come.
So I had attorneys come up to me and tell me that I should have put on a skirt. I should have worn a dress so that I could look more like his mother. At the end of the day, I gave birth to my child. I'm his mother, no matter what I decide to wear. Every time I've gone into court, I've been dressed very professionally. I hold myself very well. And, and then at the end of the day, I'm criticized for the fact that I don't look more like a mother,
Mm,
and what does a mother look like?
mm,
That's not something that you judge based off of someone's clothing.
right. Um, when you talk to your son, how does he feel? Like, what does he think is happening? How's it going on with him? From what your reaction is?
He's very stressed out about it. As a matter of fact, he'll tell anybody who listens that he wants to come home.
Mm,
Matter of fact, I had a meeting with the school about a week ago. Apparently, he had been seeing a counselor at the school, and the counselor did not know that I was his birth mother. And
wow.
so he kept telling her, I don't get to see my mom. I miss my mom. And here she is thinking that, his mother is dropping him off every day, and he's just kind of using it as an excuse, only to find out that I'm his birth mother and I barely get to see him. And
Mm,
that's what he's referring to. But when I say he tells anybody who will listen, down to the janitor, he will tell anybody who listens that he wants to come home, that he misses his mom. And he performs very high academically, but lately he's been having behavior issues at school because he hasn't had access to me,
Mm,
and he thinks that, from his words, when he leaves me, he thinks he'll never see me again.
wow. Um, Now I know you told me before as well off air that they're basically trying to X you out of his life. Like your girlfriend or your ex girlfriend has now moved on and she's married with a guy, and they're trying to say that we're mommy and dad. Can you talk about more about that experience?
Absolutely. For the last year, my son has had to call this man that he pretty much has just met his dad. My ex got married last summer. She's been with the man that she's with for about 2 years, and they argue with him about who his real family is. And for a 7-year-old, I feel like that's something that's really hard to deal with. You shouldn't be forced to have to call anybody mom or dad. It's one thing to have parental relationships or relationships with other adults, but you shouldn't be forced to call anybody mom or dad.
Mm,
And they have told him that they are his real parents, and that I'm a bad person, basically, and that's why he's living with them.
wow. So what is your interaction? You say you see your son once a month. What is your interaction with your ex and her? Like when y'all interact, how is it now?
Um, I talk to her husband more than I talk to her. He has initially in this, he had been a big help in me being able to see my son every week or every other week when they first got married. But now she has pretty much tried to turn us against each other because she doesn't like the fact that we have had a relationship
Right.
for for my son.
Mm,
Um, it's she doesn't communicate with me at all. She communicates through my son. We're supposed to use this court email system called Our Family Wizard, and she basically, will get on Family Wizard and tell me whether or not I can pick up my son. And if I say I'm going to pick him up from school, she'll say I'll call the police, or I'm going to tell the school that you don't have the right to pick him up. It's been contentious the entire time.
That's what I was going to ask you. My next question was how is this? Of course, you're in a somber place, but if you can describe it, how does this affecting you mentally? Because I know a lot as a man. I know a lot of men go through this more than women, as far as like when the ones that want to be a part of their children's lives and they got to fight against the system. So it's pretty different. It's a different perspective coming from you, and I'm learning. I'm trying to educate so that way if there's someone else going through this particular situation, I can try to understand them as well. So what are your thoughts, what are your feelings, how is this affecting you mentally?
Honestly, emotionally, it's debilitating. Honestly, I have gone through severe depression and had to bring myself out of it just so I could work every day and continue to provide. Um, I had to move when I had to move from Georgia to come back to California. I had to, look for a new job and go through the process of rebuilding myself. So on top of everything else that was going on and fighting the court to even be able to see my son, you're having to deal with everything else that's going on. I have days where I barely pull myself out of bed. Um, it's it's really hard as a mother. You want to be there to protect your child, to see them grow up, and fight for them. Give them the life that you promised to give them, and that's been taken away. And every day I'm fighting to get that back, and it's truly very hard. I've had to get a therapist just to be able to make it through this. But I don't even know the words to describe it. Um, I'm totally at a loss. It is mentally, like I said, it's mentally debilitating.
Mm. Um, So how can people help? Like, what can they do? I'm doing this interview, and this is like my contribution to help. We talked off air about all the other ways that I would try to help as well. But for the average person looking to like help and show support, what can they do to help? You know, um, support what you're trying to do with your son.
I ask anybody who can get the story out to go to my Instagram page and repost. If you go to my IGTV, you can repost the story from there. I've had quite a few people reach out to do, interviews, and I think that the more I can get this in the public eye, and the more that people can see, what's going on. I know I'm not the only person who's going through this, so it sheds a bigger light on the injustice in the system. Whether it's one of us talking or a thousand of us talking, it needs to be put out there. It's an issue. It's an issue that needs to be resolved.
Right. So, I got a two-part question, and you can answer them both at the same time. What would you actually no? I want to split them up so it can be a direct answer. What would you say to your ex if you had an open ground of communication, of to say something to her right now, clear cut, without arguing, without disagreeing? Like, what would you want to clearly? What message would you clearly want to send to her?
That what she's doing is hurting Josiah. That what she's doing is hurting my son. And at the end of the day, we have to be bigger people and do what's right for him.
Would you want her to be a part of Josiah's life, or would you want to cut her out, like because she's not biologically his parent? Like, what would you want to happen with their relationship? Because I'm pretty sure he's probably has some type of feeling towards her now because she's been in his life as far as he know. How old is he, by the way?
He's 7. He's
7.
7.
Because I got a 7-year-old, and if somebody was trying to automatically take my 7-year-old away from me, I would go crazy. So, what would you want to their relationship to be moving forward if you had control over it?
Honestly, I have never told her that she couldn't be a part of his life.
Mm,
And going forward, I would be okay with her being a part of his life, but I want to raise my son.
mm,
I have no problem with her being that responsible adult in his life to be there for him and support him. But at the end of the day, we have to do things the right way. We have to do things as for what's best for him.
mm,
And you know, putting all these different people in his life, calling them boyfriend, girlfriend, mom, dad, whatever, is confusing. It's confusing for somebody that, and you know, I'm not looking to I'm not looking to remove her completely, even in all the things that she's done in this. I'm not looking to remove her completely. I'm okay with them having a relationship,
mm-hmm.
and there are other things that have gone on. However, I'm just looking to be able to raise my son, the son that I decided to have. You know, that's that would be it.
What would you want uh to change about the court system? Of course, we would want the outcome to be different, but if you had it your way in an ideal world, what would you want to be differently with the court system?
I think that judges need to be fair, and I think that they need to be held accountable for their actions. Judges, there's no liability on a judge. A judge can make any decision he wants and run with it, and you pretty much have no recourse. So I would say that judges need to report to somebody and be liable for the things that they do in court. You shouldn't be able to just tear a family apart just because you don't like the fact that the child is a different color.
Mm,
That's discrimination across the
right.
board, and there's no getting around it. You know. So if I could change anything, I think that trials need to be fair. People need to of any color need to be able to be heard, and a judge should act in a child's best interest, which is what the court says. But they need to take in all the information, and everybody needs to be accountable.
Um, I'm hoping to build content that will last long after I'm dead, like videos, podcasts, everything. What would you say to your son if everything doesn't go the way that you want and he gets older and he has to look back on this part of your life, what would you want him to think of you? What perspective? What message would you want to give to him? This portion of the podcast is brought to you by Peel Them Layers Back. Peel Them Layers Back was founded by hip hop artist and mental health advocate Archie Green. Peel Them Layers Back blossomed from the inspiration of Archie's song Layers, which he wrote shortly after being clinically diagnosed with depression. Layers gives Archie's perspective on living with depression and how therapy and mental health has saved and changed his life. The song motivated Archie to use hip hop as a vehicle to promote mental health awareness. The mission of Peel Them Layers Back is to educate, empower, and equip individuals with the basic tools necessary to live a mentally healthy life. They're holding a fundraiser right now to support the programs that they're developing in the community. So go donate and check them out and tell them Red sent you. And I promise to get Archie on the podcast. He has an amazing story and he has a beautiful way of articulating it. I got a chance to check out some of his work. So again, go support his fundraiser, donate, and again, tell him Red sent you. This portion of the podcast is brought to you by the Worthy Lifestyle app. Are you looking for mental health support, education, and resources? Are you lacking self-esteem to elevate? Are you looking for a way to handle the childhood trauma you're not talking about? Are you sad, angry, or just all over the place emotionally? If so, download the Worthy Lifestyle app. The Worthy Lifestyle app provides mental health education, resources, and support. Learn how to become the best version of yourself. Before you can win, you have to believe you're worthy. Download the Worthy Lifestyle app and tell them Brad sent you. I had a chance to meet the creator and the owner and the operator, and she's an amazing person. We actually are in the talks of doing big things together, especially for the mental health community. So I'm in full support of what she's doing with this app, and I highly recommend it because it's an amazing tool for people that say therapy and all of these things are expensive and they don't know where to start. So the Worthy Lifestyle app is definitely a place to give you that start, and it might be the place that you call home for a while. So go download the app and tell them Brad sent you.
I try even now, as young as he is, to teach him that there are things that happen in life that are not always fair, but we have to always be the bigger person. And there are going to be things that happen that are out of your control, but you have to learn how to make the best out of life and take every day one step at a time.
Mm. And I don't the last part, I don't really have too much more questions. What I know you're coming out with a book soon. Um
Absolutely.
any details, any information, what people can expect? I know you probably like gave a lot of information here, but what people can expect, what's in it? Just talk about more about it. What's the title, everything going on?
So I don't have a title for the book yet.
Okay.
The book will be out at the end of the summer. It is still in the works. However, it is truly a drama. People it will absolutely be a good read. I don't have exact details on it that I can put out there just yet,
Mm-hmm.
some for legal reasons, but it is the story of how this all happened, how it has culminated, and almost exact series of events leading up to our court dates and everything else. So it's going to be an exciting book to read, though, definitely.
I can bet. Like I said, whatever I could do when it's time to support and put it out, help you, whatever you got, your cause, your message, because I know it's one that not many understand because it's shedding a light. That's probably why you're going through what you're going through with the court system because they just don't understand it. They can't fathom
Absolutely,
different type of relationship. So, like when you said that when you don't look like a mom, it's like, well, what does a mom look like?
absolutely, absolutely. You know, and how do you judge somebody? It's the same saying: how you can't judge a book by its cover. But at the end of the day, I'm a woman. How am I not his mother?
Right. And
You know,
like you said, you biologically are, and that's just crazy to me that because somebody signed a piece of paper, they are automatically assumed in DNA and all of that stuff. I would really like to understand the methodology behind that thinking.
one thing that people don't understand that I have come to know as a really big issue in America in general is that we are losing parental rights by the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a third party can walk in and say, "I have held this child out to be, or held myself out to be this child's parent," and they can get custody of your child without having to prove anything.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, parents have the right to say who can be and not be in their children's lives based off of safety concerns or whatever. At the end of the day, I always be able to steer my child in the right direction without interference from the government. But if you go even on parentalrights.org, it'll tell you, 20% of our African American kids are in foster homes. And it's not always because there's an issue in the home. Somebody could have lied, or somebody could have made an accusation against you, and they just take your kid. Period. There is no structure.
Right. It was a question I had about a lawyer. Oh, you said something happened with the last lawyer as well. It just came to me, and how they were that situation. I don't know too much about it, but you said it was something where they just gave up basically.
Absolutely. I believe it was a gay family law center that I was dealing with. I paid them $5,000 to get an order that would basically take the judge that we had off of our case,
Mm-hmm.
which would have allowed my son to be able to stay with me until we saw a new judge.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, they were all gung ho about it. Yep, we'll do exactly what you want us to do. And then all of a sudden, when it came down to it, they did nothing. They literally took my money and did nothing. And the attorney that they sent the day of my hearing to represent me, she knew somewhat about my case, but she didn't know everything, and she wasn't even the attorney that I had been speaking to. And she literally sat there the entire time, let the judge make whatever calls he was going to make, and didn't ask any questions. And I was so annoyed after the hearing, because here I've spent my hard-earned money days before Christmas to fly out to California and have representation and have somebody defend my rights, only to have them do nothing at all. Nothing.
Is there anything that she can say against you? Like, people will see this and she'll probably see this and it's like, oh, that ain't right, or oh no, this is how this really again. Is there anything that she can say against you to try to like make you look bad?
No, she'll say that we always wanted to have kids, which is true. But what she won't tell you is that the 3 times that I set it up for her to go to Pacific Reproductive and actually, be able to get pregnant, she declined to do so. And had every excuse in the book for why to do it. So, when I wanted to move on and do me and have a child anyway, that's exactly what I did. But I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I have nothing to hide, which is why I'm putting this story out there, because at the end of the day, it is exactly that. It's just a injustice, and it needs to be fixed. But I have nothing to hide, and she knows that.
Lastly, is there any closing remarks, anything you want to leave with the viewers, anything you want to leave with her, anything you just want to leave to anybody in general, so that way the message that you're trying to put out there resonates with them?
Don't stop fighting. If you have a child that you're fighting for, or or a custody case that you're going through, your child needs you no matter what. It's the easy thing to do is walk away and not deal with it, and not deal with the ex or the other parent, because it's stressful, or because it is creating chaos in your life. At the end of the day, though, our babies need us, period, and we have to be there for them.
And on that note, guys, I'm gonna put her link and her information in the description. Follow her, support her, show love when her book come out. Just do all the good things that y'all can, man, because this is a story that I wasn't even aware of, and I'm getting educated by having this conversation. So I thank you for sharing. I applaud you for the work that you're about to do, because I know you're gonna help so many individuals come out there and say and tell their story. I want to look out for help. So again, salute to you for having the courage to like keep moving forward and to keep fighting. Because I know many people that have been like, you know what, I could make another kid, or I've talked to guys that even thought like that. So just salute to you to keep, struggling to just make sure you see your vision and everything through. And I thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly, truly appreciate you, man.
No problem. And remember, guys, this has never been about replacement to therapy. It's an alternative, and it's a place where people share therapeutic stories. Thank you for listening.